Welcome to Shifting Veils. My name is Michelle,
And I am Isaiah.
and this is where we talk about things we find just outside of Clearview. So if you like the unexplained, possibly paranormal, and always strange, stick around as we explore the possibilities of what is beyond our natural senses. Today we've got some strange and, in ways, hard to believe stories for you. So without delay, let's get started.
On a blistering summer day in July of 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, France, which was then part of the Roman Empire at the time, a woman stepped into the street and began to silently twirl and dance. There she remained, days in and days out, never ceasing, never resting, never sleeping. She was struck by a sudden and seemingly uncontrollable urge to dance. She continued for a week, and not long after, approximately 32 more townspeople. Sorry. She continued for a week, and not long after, approximately 32 more townspeople joined in what would later be called mass hysteria. By August, the dancing epidemic had claimed as many as 400 victims. All dancing, days in and days out, bloodied feet, twitching limbs, ignoring hunger and exhaustion. With no explanation apparent for the phenomenon, local physicians blamed it on hot blood, believing it had caused the brain to overheat and cause madness, and suggested that those afflicted with this dancing disease simply gyrate the fever away.
Now I have that song Hot Blooded running through my head.
When I first read this, that's the same thing I was thinking too. Hot-blooded.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did the township do? They constructed a stage. That seems like the appropriate thing to do.
Of course.
Not only that, but professional dancers were brought in and a professional band to provide music were hired.
Damn. I was born in the wrong era.
What band was hired?
I don't know. Someone was up there singing Hot Blooded.
Yes. They hired a rat.
Yeah.
It wasn't long, though, before the dancing marathon started to take its toll on people. Many dancers were said to have collapsed out of complete exhaustion, and some even died from strokes and heart attacks. The dancing plague didn't come to an end until September, when the dancers were taken to a mountaintop shrine to pray for absolution. The Strasbourg dancing plague is well documented in 16th century historical records. According to a historian by the name of John Waller, one explanation for the event would involve Saint Vitus, a Catholic saint who pious 16th century Europeans believed had the power to curse people with the dancing plague. When you couple that with the horrors of disease and famine, both of which were prevalent through Strasbourg in 1518, the St. Vitus superstition could have triggered a stress-induced hysteria that would have affected much of the city. There are other theories, though. Some suggest the possible accidental ingestion of ergot, a toxic mold that grows on damp rye and produces spasms and hallucinations. Strasbourg is located in the northeastern portion of France, which is historically associated with grain cultivation, including rye. But ergotism causes more than just spasms and hallucinations. It causes coma, nausea, diarrhea, and vasospasms, which is the narrowing of the arteries caused by a persistent contraction of the blood vessels, which can in the end cause gangrene. But historian John Waller argued against ergotism as the sole cause, saying the dancers sustained only movements and lacked the other symptoms. Strasbourg is the most famous example, but it wasn't the only dance plague to hit Europe during the medieval era. There were many instances of uncontrolled dancing that were recorded in Germany, France, and other parts of the Holy Roman Empire. In earlier centuries, these dancing plagues were interpreted as divine punishment or demonic possession, and were handled with religious solutions like masses or direct intervention from a priest.
What do you think it was?
Well, not something you could pray away. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was the fungus, the mushrooms growing on the rye. It's fun. It's always kind of frustrating to me with medical stuff whenever someone presents with, you have a list, say, of like 10 symptoms, and someone presents with 6 or 7 of them. And the medical community says, well, it can't be that because they didn't have all of the symptoms. They had this, but not that. everybody is different. Sometimes it maybe it's just a little, I don't know. It's just frustrating. You don't have to have all of the symptoms, but it's what makes sense. And I do understand the mass hysteria stuff too. People can have anxiety in it and they can have, symptoms from it, but I don't know.
I mean, my thought would be, but why the dancing? What is it? Because like the symptoms we went through, they don't talk about having constant movements. I mean,
I
unless
want to
you're
see the
talking
dancing.
about the diarrhea, because those are movements that that are constant. But
I want to see the dancing. I want to see what did it look like? Like were they like really busting out moves,
I mean, I
or
don't
were
think they were
or were they
doing the
just like,
Dougie.
or were they like vibrating, or were they like flinging like and flailing their arms and like what did it look like?
Yeah, I mean, if you got diarrhea, they're doing the snaky leg for sure.
Oh,
That's
that's a
something,
good
but
one. That's a good one.
I don't know. But yeah, I would probably say the mold would probably be the most would probably be the path I would
It
say
makes
too.
sense. What if it was a light ingestion of mushrooms and not like a big
Mm,
ingestion of mushrooms,
that would be something too. It would be like maybe there was maybe it wasn't just the ergo. Maybe it was a different sort of
Well,
fungus
the
as well.
ergo is basically mushrooms. I mean, it's fungus, right? What does it
Right.
look like? Do we know what it looks like?
I mean, it causes hallucinations, but I mean, I don't know. No, I don't.
I
I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either.
The only mushroom I really paid attention to in the past like decade of my life is cordyceps. So,
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know.
whoa.
Hmm,
Actually, thinking about that, cordyceps is one of those funguses that actually control whatever they infest. So that's actually interesting.
whatever they infest.
So yeah, cordyceps they generally only this cordyceps. A lot of people are going to know cordyceps from The Last of Us. It's that fungus, but
Oh.
cordyceps is an actual real fungus that actually does that to ants and spiders and stuff like that. And they do
Oh.
it, but it's moved up to deer now. It does it to deer now as well. So it's doing it to bigger organisms.
I know what you mean now.
But
Okay.
what it does is, yeah, the fungus controls whatever it has like infested, or however you want to talk about
It's like mind
became
control.
parasites. Yeah, and so this fungus will, towards the end of the organism's life, move it to a high location, and it sprouts out of the organism that is now passed or still alive, could be, and it will bloom and it will pour out spores to continue passing its life on. So, I mean, technically, if it has the same sort of characteristic as a cordyceps, it could have been a fungus.
Could have been.
Anyway, sorry.
That's really actually kind of, no, that's actually kind of really terrifying. It
It's
sounds like you're
terrible.
describing like a horror movie where humans have encountered some type of extraterrestrial being that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what The Last of Us is. I don't know if you've watched or seen
Yeah,
the games, but I mean,
yeah,
that's what that whole
I've
thing
seen.
is cordyceps take over humans. So it is kind of horror.
Spooky, scary, actually. It's beyond spooky. That's actually frightening.
Hmm.
Um, okay, next story. Um, Early one August morning in 1890, excuse me, 1886. I jumped ahead 10
19,
years.
you have 1986 on here, it looks like.
Yeah, it's
You gotcha.
1986.
All right, all right.
Early one August morning in 1986, in a village located in West Africa, a man by the name of Ephraim Che woke in his bed a little disoriented. As he lays there, he's trying to remember the night before, but he's having trouble putting the pieces together. But he knows he does remember one thing. At some point during the evening, he recalls hearing a very loud boom. Thinking it was thunder, he put it out of his mind and gave it no more thought, but that's it. That's all he can remember. He tries to get up and he starts moving around and he realizes he's having some trouble. I mean, he's dizzy, he can't focus, and he just really feels out of it. So he makes it outside of the mud hut that he lives in, and he just stands there, kind of in a daze. He went out of his hut to see if he could approach another villager in hopes of getting some help and finding out why he feels so weird, but he sees absolutely no one. Then he realizes there was no sound. The air was deadly still. No mosquitoes buzzing, no crickets, no wildlife, no birds, just absolute silence. And
That's
you have to
eerie.
understand, yeah, you have to understand this village he lives in. It's pretty rural. I mean, there's baboons in the forest that are constantly making noise. There's stuff out there. It's just there's always wildlife. There's always noise. But right now, for him, it is absolute silence and stillness. What follows is like something out of a horror movie. Ephraim would soon realize there is a faint, putrid smell of rotting eggs and bodies of people and animals laying motionless all throughout his village. Soon he'll find it's not just his village, though, but several villages near Lake Neos. That August day in 1986, approximately 1,800 people and about 3,500 livestock died suddenly in one of the rarest geological events in modern era. In the modern era, sorry. Lake Neos is a little over 1 mile long and about 660 feet deep. It's a crater lake located in northwestern Cameroon. On August 21st, 1986, at about 9:30 p.m., the villagers in the Neos Lake Valley heard a loud noise resembling thunder. Those that lived closest to the lake itself said they heard a gurgling sound. Then a thick white fog.
Fogue. A
then a
thick white
thick
fogue.
then a thick white fog emerged from the lake and moved northwards. That was a good one. Okay. We'll leave that one in there so everyone can laugh at it, I guess. 5 villages were affected in total. Most people in the area were farmers. The lake water was usually brilliant blue color, but after the eruption, it turned a reddish brown. The Cameroon military assisted a rescue team, but did not arrive until 36 hours later. Everyone had to wear protective gear and oxygen tanks. There were so many dead that they could not give those that passed individual funerals, so mass graves were dug. There were 4 survivors in Neos, and around 5,000 in total, combining the other 4 villages surrounding the lake. Most were in comas that ranged from 6 to 36 hours. They said they fell unconscious and woke up in pretty much the same manner that Ephraim did. Some in the villages had respiratory issues that cleared up shortly after. Some women suffered miscarriages. Others had pneumonia. Some committed suicide after losing family members. I mean, can you
Yeah,
imagine?
I can't even. No, I
I mean, you wake up and your spouse and all your kids and your parents, like everybody's just,
can't.
yeah.
Can you even imagine like waking up like Ephraim did, where he woke up and he's the only one like in the village?
Hmm.
You like think either this is the whole village or this is the entire world. Like what just
Yeah,
happened?
right. Yeah, I, it would be freaky. Yeah, is this the entire world would definitely be in my mind.
Yeah.
So what happened? What caused the mass loss of life overnight? The disaster at Lake Neos was caused by a gas eruption, otherwise known as a limnic eruption. It happens when a lake, usually a volcanic crater lake, suddenly releases a large amount of dissolved gases. In the case of Lake Neos, it primarily contained carbon dioxide with traces of sulfur dioxide, which is why the eggs smell.
Hmm.
More than likely, what happened was an increase in pressure buildup in the lake bed due to geothermal activity. Essentially, on that night, Lake Neos released a huge cloud of carbon dioxide. It bubbled up out of the lake, down the hills, through the villages, and across their fields. Heavier than air, it would appear as a fog and suffocate everything in its path. There was no fear, no panic, no wounds, only entire village communities lying still where they had stood, slept, walked, or were working. Some were on bikes, some at their dinner tables, and some peacefully in their beds. Even the insects fell from the air.
That's insane. That's so much.
Yeah, it is really crazy. The thing is, that's not the only time that's ever happened. It's happened in other places. Um, I don't think it's ever happened at such a mass scale,
Hmm.
but it's just, I guess, something that can come from, living around a crater lake specifically. I don't know how common it is among other lakes. But yeah, it's kind of. Our third story begins at exactly 6:51 p.m. on December 16th, 1997, in Japan. Simultaneously, children across the country began having a seizure. 310 boys, 375 girls were taken in ambulances to hospitals. Over the next 2 days, 12,000 children had reported being ill. That's a lot of kids.
I was gonna say 310, 375 don't add up to 12,000. What was?
No.
But no, that's. I'm sorry.
There
Uh,
had to be a common denominator in all of these cases. Unless you're someone who already knows, it may surprise you what it was that was causing the sudden onset of illness among Japan's. Exactly 20 minutes into the 38th episode of the animated series Pokemon, an explosion takes place, illustrated using a technique called Paka Paka. Paka Paka broadcasts alternating red and blue flashing lights at a rate of 12 hertz for 6 seconds. This caused some of the thousands of children to experience photosensitive epileptic seizures, but not all. Some just reported general feelings of being unwell. One 15-year-old girl said, "As I was watching blue and red lights flashing on the screen, I felt my body become tense. I don't remember what happened afterwards." The phrase coined by Japanese media to describe the phenomenon was called Pokemon shock. It became international news. The anime's producers were questioned by police. The Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare also held an emergency meeting. As a result, the share price of Nintendo, the company behind the Pokemon games, dropped by 3.2%. Medical experts agreed that 12,000 children requiring medical treatment made no sense. The program had been watched by 4.6 million households. About 1 in 5,000 people has photosensitive epilepsy. 12,000 children reporting symptoms seemed out of proportion. The math is not mathing. What experts originally overlooked, however, was while the anime's airing on the 16th of December did indeed cause hundreds of children to experience symptoms from photosensitive epilepsy, the following and lingering cases had a different cause. The day after the 38th episode aired, talk of Pokemon shock was all over the playgrounds, in the classrooms, in news bulletins, and at breakfast tables, at which point more children began to feel unwell. This got worse when some news shows screened the offending clip, but this time the symptoms were headaches, dizziness, vomiting, which are much more characteristic of a mass sociogenic illness rather than a photosensitive epilepsy.
what in the world would make the news? Why would
Play
they
the
think?
offending
Yeah,
clip
why would they think it was okay to play it again?
because that's what news does. They
Oh my
sensationalize
god!
things. They like to
But
poke the fire, stir the
uh,
fire, poke the bear.
there, there's start the bear, poke the fire. Uh, um, but I mean, they knew it sent 12,000 kids into like medical unwellness, so they're gonna play it again. Are
They
they
don't
like,
care.
we want to double check? Let's double check here.
Views.
Yeah,
Views, that's all it's about.
yeah. Well, they're about to lose 12,000 views.
Basically, mass sociogenic illness is when anxiety manifests itself in physical symptoms that can be spread through social contact. It's usually found in closed social units like at work or schools. The symptoms are real. The victims are actually not faking or making them up, but the cause is misattributed. So,
It's not too
I
often you hear about that either.
No, I do wonder though. I remember whenever I was growing up, um, the whole Pokemon thing
Hmm.
was so big. And here in America, um, all the parents were like telling their kids, you can't you can't watch Pokemon, you can't have Pokemon cards, it's satanic.
Hmm.
And I almost wonder if it was because of what had happened
Oh,
with the
I don't think
Pokemon
so.
shock over there. They were
I don't.
like, "Oh, it does bad stuff," you
I
know?
don't. I don't think so at all. You
You
hear some of
don't?
these. You hear some of these cases that these parents make. I'm gonna say it, most of these mothers make about Pokemon being satanic because a lot of the dads are like, ah, fuck it, whatever. But we had to deal with satanic. This satanic panic with D&D. D&D was huge for that
Yes.
too. But
Yeah.
some of these cases made with with D&D, you're summoning creatures, you can summon creatures, there's spells, there's magic, witchcraft, all that stuff.
Uh,
But with Pokemon, like one of the cases that was made is that Pokemon's tail was like the lightning bolt, and it's evil, it's Satan. It's like, what?
how is a lightning bolt evil?
I don't believe for one second that it was because of that. I It's just the things that people say about how Pokemon was like satanic was like, no, you're not making sense. It was like the monster cans with the three claws strikes down it. They're like, that's the devil three, and I don't know. I'm
Maybe it was just a little bit left over from the 80s, because in the 80s,
I don't know.
everything was satanic.
Yeah, it
Everything.
was. Yeah.
People were playing records backwards.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Kiss records backwards and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Dude,
yeah. Maybe it was. Maybe it was just a little bit left over from that. Who knows?
that's where I would go. I'm not. I would. Yeah. Anyway, this story. This story takes place in 1915, when World War I had increased demand for industrial alcohol. A 50-foot tall steel holding tank was constructed on Commercial Street in Boston's North End, but the construction process had been rushed and haphazard. Its contents, which was molasses, were the property of United States Industrial Alcohol, which took regular shipments of molasses from the Caribbean, and used them to produce alcohol for liquor and munitions manufacturing. This poorly constructed and massive container would groan, and it often leaked molasses onto the street, so much so that the town's children would sneak a taste. That sounds disgusting. Occasionally, by swiping a bit off the container wall with their finger. No, no germs.
Germs.
USI
Germs.
USIA employees. Yeah, germs.
These are kids.
I
They
know.
don't
I
wash their
was
hands.
look. I was part of the kids that like drank out of like the yard hoses. I
The
know,
water
but
hose. Yeah. Me too.
but this is like
It's probably why I have MS.
that's why I'm a negative black hole.
Maybe.
USIA
We have
USI
finally figured out the source of depression.
yeah,
It's
licking molasses
among
or
our
drinking out
generation,
of the
yeah. Yeah.
hoses. Too many hoses in your mouth.
Whoa. Whoa.
All right. Anyway,
Okay.
USIA employees warned their bosses that it wasn't structurally sound, but all they seemed to do about it was recock it. By 1919, the residents on Commercial Street had grown accustomed to hearing these metallic creaks and groans emanating from the tank. On an unusually mild winter, during the day in January around 12:40 p.m., the mid-afternoon calm was broken by the sound of a roar. It was metallic and deafening. Residents had little to no time at all to register what was happening. The recently refilled molasses tank ripped wide open and released 2.3 million gallons of thick, dark molasses. That is a lot of
Yeah.
molasses.
Yeah.
A 15-foot wave of syrup cascaded over Commercial Street, moving at 35 miles per hour, obliterating all of the people all of the horses, all of the buildings and electrical poles in its path. Even the solid steel supports of the elevated train platform were snapped. Solid steel was snapped.
That's
That's
nuts.
it's crazy.
That is
That
crazy. I can imagine a 15-foot wave of molasses.
I, I was thinking of the 35 miles per hour. It's like, well, it wasn't a what was it? Hot Sunday, hot Sunday afternoon molasses. I can't think what the saying is.
Could you imagine? Okay, it was cold, so could you imagine if it was hot? If it was like summer,
How?
it would have been going at least 40.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was trying to say. You got it out for me. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
The Boston Globe would later write that the force of the molasses wave caused buildings to cringe up as though they were made of pasteboard. The
Mm.
firehouse was knocked off its foundation, causing its second story to collapse into its first. One survivor by the name of Martin Clougherty said, I was in bed on the third floor of my house taking a nap. When I woke, I was in several feet of molasses. Clougherty nearly drowned in the gooey flood before climbing on top of his own bed frame, which he discovered floating nearby. He used the makeshift boat to rescue his sister, but his mother and younger brother were among those killed in this disaster. Can you imagine drowning in molasses?
Mm-mm.
Oh my
I
God.
That had to like hurt, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it hurts anyway, but
Right. But
but that's just yeah, that's
just
rough.
that just sounds thick and disgusting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Authorities arrived at the disaster scene within minutes. In addition, over 100 sailors from the Navy ship USS Nantucket joined the rescue efforts. The molasses was difficult to wade through because it had begun to harden in the winter chill, but they soon began plucking survivors from the wreckage. In the days following the Great Molasses Flood, rescue workers continued to dig through the ruins. Many molasses-trapped horses had to be shot and bodies had to be retrieved. The human toll overall would climb to 21 dead and another 150 injured, and they still scooped up all that molasses and put it right back in the tank. In the wake of the disaster, the surviving victims filed 119 different lawsuits against United States Industrial Alcohol. The lawsuits against USIA were eventually combined into a mammoth legal proceeding that dragged on for 5 years. USIA would later pay the flood victims and their family members $628,000 in damages.
I'm not sure how many people were involved in the lawsuit. If it's
I know.
only the 150 people that were injured, you're looking at around 4K a person. There were likely more people than the 150 survivors, though, that were part of that lawsuit.
I was gonna say that depends on how many actually even stood up and filed with it.
Yeah.
You have to make a claim in order for you to get anything back. So,
I mean, you've got family members of the deceased.
hmm
They might not have been affected any other way other than having family members pass.
I
You
mean,
got businesses and homeowners on Commercial Street that experienced loss on account of it. So it's hard to say. I do wonder, what
it's,
everyone ended up getting because
it's
that's
all
just
damages. Yeah.
mm-hmm. It's just crazy. Uh,
There's a small village in the north of Kazakhstan by the name of Kalachi. Starting in 2013, residents of the town began to suffer from contagious tiredness. They started to slip into a state of deep sleep, almost comatose, and remain in that state for days at a time.
Sounds like me.
I wish. One quarter. One quarter of the residents of this small
Mhm.
village have suffered at least one bout of sleeping sickness in the last 3 years, and scientists are still not certain why. Many potential causes of the sleeping illness have been considered, but not confirmed. A Russian scientist specializing in geochemistry stated in an interview that he believed the answer could be found in an abandoned Soviet-era uranium mine that lies near the village. The scientist said the radon gas which fills the mine could be operating as a narcotic substance or an anesthetic. Sometimes the underground space of the mine is flooded and gases are squeezed out of the surface. However, The Kazakhstan government doesn't really care for that explanation. In 2015, they began evacuating citizens from Kalachi because they had found no other way to combat the sickness.
Yeah, I don't know. No one lives there now, I don't think. I think they relocated them all and they just kind of
That,
accept it as it is.
so is it kind of like Centralia, Pennsylvania, maybe, where they tried evacuating everybody out of there? There's probably some people that still linger, but
Maybe some people like just existing there being really sleepy.
maybe. I wouldn't mind some sleep.
I mean, yeah, me too. Um, we have covered some very strange, unbelievable, and also horribly sad plagues, epidemics, and events in this episode, but I have one more epidemic. And to be honest, this one caught me giggling a few times.
This is for you boys out there.
What did you say?
I said this is for you boys out there.
Yes, I will preemptively apologize.
No, we don't. We don't apologize here.
Okay, okay. I'm not
This is for
sorry.
this is for you boys out
All
there.
right,
Listen
yeah.
good.
Uh, in 1967, in Singapore, a most bizarre event happened that would later be known as one of the best documented epidemics of Coro. Coro is genital retraction syndrome. I'll let that marinate for just a second. In October of 1967, a frightened 16-year-old boy rushed into the clinic, pulling hard on his penis to prevent the organ from disappearing into his abdomen. The boy's parents shouted for the doctors to help because the boy had Coro, and if the retraction didn't stop, he would die. The doctors reassured the family and gave the boy an anti anxiety medication, after which he improved. The 16-year-old boy's problem had started at school. He had heard rumors that pork inoculated against swine fever could cause Coro. That morning, he'd eaten a steamed bun with pork in it. Later, when he went to pee, he looked down and felt his penis start to shrink. Frightened after the rumors he had heard, he quickly grabbed his penis, began pulling on it, and rushed to his parents shouting for help. Soon more followed. Before long, the hospitals were flooded with patients holding onto their Harrys so they didn't pull a Houdini and disappear. Pork sales plummeted. The Ministry of Primary Production announced that both swine fever and the vaccine were harmless to humans, but the epidemic seemed to continue to grow, unlike their penises, until the Ministry of Health appeared on television and radio to announce that Coro was a purely psychological condition and that no one had died from it. There was an immediate drop in the number of cases. By November, there were no reports at all. In the end, a total of 469 cases were recorded, although the real number was probably higher since the survey only included Western hospitals and did not account for traditional Chinese doctors.
I wanna I wanna point out, and sorry guys, boys, whatever, but this is just how um sensitive boys and men can be about their genitals. Is they hear something like that and it's like it's gonna happen to me, it's gonna happen to me, it's gonna happen to me, and it causes that anxiety, and it just causes that mental state where you're worried that this is important.
Uh-huh. I actually have a story that kind of relates to this subject. When I think I was about 15, I was babysitting. I had a little 5-year-old boy that I babysit all the time. And he had a best friend that was the same age, and it was summertime. And um, they were both over at the one boy's house. And so I was watching them both. And I had a kiddie pool set up in the backyard. And the boy's friend that was over stood up out of the kiddie pool and starts screaming. And I'm like trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And when I could finally figured out what he was screaming, he was telling me that his penis fell off. Because and I'm telling
I'd
him, no,
scream too.
your penis did not fall off. It's still there. And he's like, where is it? Where is it? And I had to explain to him, he got a little too cold.
It's
Um,
cold.
that hose water was cold, So, um, yeah, it's. I guess it would be the same thing. He freaked out. He freaked out, and that was a long time ago, and it's still hilarious to me.
So um, this is yeah, what I was saying. It's we not only urinate out of this, okay? As a dude, I'm gonna say this. We are not we urinate out of this, okay? So it's important, yes. But it's we're very self conscious about it altogether, right? You know, we get with somebody, we want to have a partner. What are we thinking? We're thinking, I got to impress them somehow. So it's always a thought in your head. So it causes that. It causes that. You hear a rumor that this pork is going to cause this to like make my penis retract inside me. It's like shit. Okay, don't want to eat that. So I mean, but that's a societal thing. A society puts that pressure on men. They have to have a certain thing,
it
this
was
certain and the one of the best things they're good for is procreating, and that's pretty much it.
it was like one of the things earlier in the episode we were talking about where people get anxious and the symptoms are real, like
Hmm.
they actually have these symptoms, um but it's it's because of anxiety or a belief. um so yeah.
And you know what? Going off of that, that's something to like keep in mind too. Is like, I mean, well, not keep in mind, but just to bring up, it's like if you believe in it, your body starts to go through it,
Hmm.
right? That's kind of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So why not, guys? Go believe in magic. Magic is real.
Magic is real. What are you talking
They did
about?
pull that coin from behind your ear. It was really
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah. No. No.
They really did make the Statue of Liberty disappear. Where'd it go, guys? Come on, magic is real.
Wasn't that
That
was that David Copperfield?
was Copperfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was the peak in '90s Friday night television.
Ugh, yeah.
Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, like, follow, subscribe, and share with your spooky friends. And don't forget to send us an email if you have your own story to share. Remember, we have the tree link, the link tree. We have the tree link. It's on one of the branches down there. You'll see it somewhere. You'll get it. And don't forget, we're on YouTube as well.
We're a lot of places actually. A lot of
Hmm.
places you get
Um,
podcasts, but Spotify and YouTube's I think most well known.
Spotify is where we're kind of getting the higher numbers on listens.
Hmm.
YouTube, we're starting to bloom a little bit more on YouTube. We are on Amazon Music. We're on iHeartRadio. Um, a couple of other ones that are kind of a little
Obscure.
obscure, more podcast listening ones. Yeah,
Podbean.
Pod Chasers. Podbean is our hosting site.
um, yeah.
So
Okay.
anyway,
Well, we are done here. So I hope you'll come back next week and listen again. You can watch our TikTok account throughout the week to get hints of what the next episode will be about. Until what?
yes, go check out the TikTok account because Michelle's working hard on this account and she's making great progress. However, don't just like the Father's Day video.
Right? Yeah,
Follow
that's
the links, follow the description. We have stuff out there. I'm not trying to be pushy, but I'm trying to be pushy a little bit here. You
uh,
guys, there's more content to just the little TikTok video there.
um we do have a Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes you'll see some of the TikTok videos get pushed over to YouTube also. So, but just keep an eye out and we'll kind of give hints about what the next episode will be about. Until then, keep a light on and keep those curtains drawn after dark.